Another reason why you might have chosen the wavy lines or the stars, those cards that were positioned in the middle, might be the so-called Centerstage Effect. This effect says that when we are confronted with different options, we usually have a preference for those in the middle. And there is some interesting empirical data on this effect. For example, the study by Paul Rodway and colleagues published in 2011 in the journal Applied Cognitive Psychology, and the title of the study was Preferring the One in the Middle: Further Evidence for the Centerstage Effect. In one of their experiments, participants were presented 5 different pictures of butterflies, flowers, mushrooms, trees, etc. And of course, those pictures were counterbalanced so that every picture was equally often in the middle, on the left, or on the right. So the natural preference that we have for one special butterfly or for one special tree could be ruled out as an explanation for the found effects. And what they found was, indeed, participants had a preference for the objects that were positioned in the middle. And that this also seems to be the case in real life could be shown in the study by Christenfeld, published in 1995 in the famous journal Psychological Science. The title of the study was Choices from Identical Options. In his first experiment, Christenfeld could show that when we are in the supermarket and we are standing in front of rows of a product that we really like, for sure you know that those products that are very popular are not only presented in one row, but usually they have 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8 different rows. And what Christenfeld could show was that when there are so many rows, we also tend to choose products from the rows that are in the middle. And this tendency to choose the options in the middle even seems to be the case when we go to the toilet. So imagine you are in a restaurant and you go to the restroom and there are 4 different stalls. Which one do you choose? Do you choose the one that is closest to the door? Well, in this study, stall A was closest to the door. But in fact, this was not the one that was chosen most often. Much more frequently chosen were the stalls in the middle, stall B and C. Now you might wonder, how on earth did they observe this? Were there any cameras in the toilet? No, they chose a quite clever method. All they did was to look in which of the stalls had the toilet paper to be replaced most often. And as I said, this was most often the case in the stalls that were in the middle. So if you are a hygiene junkie and you want to sit on a toilet that is not that often used, better don't choose a stall that is in the middle. The last reason why, at least in my pilot study, so many people did choose the wavy lines is highly speculative. And it's based on explanations of 2 participants. Of course, I also asked the students why they thought they had chosen the card they chose. And 2 of them said, well, the wavy lines remind me of water and today is a really hot day. And it was a really hot day. Almost everybody was wearing shorts and t-shirt and well, it was a perfect day to go to the lake. And 2 of the participants said, well, it reminds me of going to the beach. And therefore, maybe contextual priming might have played a role. Contextual priming means cues from the environment can have an impact on our behavior and our decisions. A good empirical example is given by the study by Jonah Berger and Grain Fitzsimmons, which was published in 2008 in the Journal of Marketing Research. And in one experiment of this study, 144 passers-by were asked to list the first things that come to their mind in the category candy or chocolate and the category soda. And it turned out when they conducted this experiment. One day before Halloween, people named orange products much more often. Because one day before Halloween, orange is the dominant color. Just think of all the pumpkins. And when they conducted the same survey 2 weeks later, passers-by did no longer name that many products that had an orange packaging. So maybe, but as I said, this is really speculative, contextual priming might have played a role as well. Nevertheless, I really wonder which option you chose, and it would be really interesting if you just wrote it into the comments section of the video. And maybe you also have another explanation why you chose this specific card. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want, we will see you next time.